Now, as we tackle on multicultural and global literacy, we also need to touch down to global understanding. According to the Division of Research and Sponsored Programs of Kent State University, to be globally competitive in the 21st century requires global understanding. That is to say, a thorough understanding of the development around the world and the way local experiences are impacted by broader global patterns. Global understanding is a key 21st century skill. It is about understanding diversity, learning about other cultures, and recognizing our place in the world. Global awareness and understanding in the classroom involves teaching students about different nations and countries and their cultures, and as well as their civic duties and rights, both locally and globally. Global understanding also allows global citizens to understand the interconnectedness of the world and to fully engage in and act on the issues of global significance. One of the ways to promote global understanding is to expose students and issues around the world. Now, how do we integrate global and intercultural issues in the curriculum? We have a process framework for introducing intercultural learning by AFS Intercultural Program. Number one, start small and build safe spaces. To do this, use warm-up exercises that help everyone, including the teacher, relax and get to know each other on a personal level before advancing to a cultural level. Number two, distinguish between personal, situational, and cultural differences. As you observe and discuss intercultural issues, bear in mind that not all conflicts or disagreements are based on cultural differences. Note the specific elements of the situation or personalities involved and help your students learn to consider all angles of an issue before making a decision. Number three, build up activities and discussions to deepen learning. Tackle cultural issues that exist within your local communities, then make connections between these and the larger world to help learners realize that they are shaped by their surroundings while simultaneously connected to much more than what is immediately around them. As a result, these students will broaden their worldviews, become more flexible, and become able to respect different perspectives. Number four, recognize and encourage healthy conflict or sharing of different, even dissenting views. Uh, Often there are concerns that dealing with differences can become very personal and perhaps uncomfortable. Even for the world's newest learners, Generation Z students, arguably some of the most comfortable people in the planet with diversity. Guide your students to actively listen and suspend judgment to uncomfortable conversations to maximize the learning potential. Number five, recognize and redirect conflict that is unproductive or that is not productive. Sometimes conversations need to be slowed down or redirected. Overheated situations don't make a productive learning environment, so you can diffuse them by using historical or literary references to take a step back and provide a more comfortable way to tackle or these biases or these stereotypes. Number six, help learners process through a three-step debriefing. For intercultural learning activities to be the most impactful, follow-up discussions or debriefing with students is crucial. Do this by first helping students reflect on and discuss what they learned. Next, encourage them to imagine how they can apply these lessons to their daily lives, and finally, come to come to a shared understanding with the matters about why the activities were conducted. Pedagogies for promoting global competence. First, we have to tackle the four dimensions of global competence. First is skill. Examine local, global, and intercultural issues. Knowledge. Understand and appreciate the perspective and worldviews of others. Values. Engage in open, appropriate, and effective interactions across cultures. Attitude. Take action for collective well-being and sustainable development. So there are 8 strategies that promote global competence. Number 1, support world language fluency. Developing fluency in at least one other language is valuable and an integral part of developing global competence. Number 2, Take a big view. Incorporate a global view every day in every subject. Take a big view of history. Use resources like the Big History Project to spur interdisciplinary studies. Number three, demonstrate intercultural competence. Intercultural competence, the ability to develop targeted knowledge, skills, and attitudes that lead to visible behavior and communication that are both effective and appropriate in intercultural interactions. According to Deardoff, it is especially important as students increasingly in schools and in the world interact with multiple cultures at one given time. Number four, diversity. Schools that serve diverse populations have a gift that can be used and explored to build global competence. More homogeneous schools can create pen pal connections and schools partnership to promote intercultural connections and unpack their own cultural backgrounds, beliefs, and norms. Number five, support travel. Travel, indus- Travel introduces students to other cultures and builds wayfinding or adaptive problem solving skills. Number six, make room for projects. Number seven, global to local. We see many important issues that students need to be investigating throughout their academic careers. They include ending hunger and poverty, clean water and sanitation, taking climate action, building cities, and exploring space. They are global issues, but nearly all can be explored locally. And lastly, number eight, city as classroom. Make a city the text, says Larry Rosenstock, founder of the High Tech High in San Diego. We call it place-based education, immersive learning experience that places students in local heritage, cultures, landscapes, opportunities, and experiences. Attitudes and values integration towards global competence. Fostering values and attitudes of solidarity and empathy is a key part of global citizenship education. So there are important methodologies to bring out values and attitudes to students to discuss global competence within the classroom. So here are the values that global citizenship education can help to foster. Empathy, not sympathy. Empathy, not sympathy. Empathy is about feeling with other people. Sympathy is about feeling for. It's important that we try and put students in the shoes of people affected by the global issues we are learning about and make sure that they feel instead of feel sorry for people who are affected. Solidarity, not charity. It's important to instill a sense of solidarity in our students, to stand with people as fellow human beings with whom we can collaborate instead of seeing people as charity cases, sorting to fundraising as the only action we can help. Making connections with how our lifestyles and behaviors can impact the world's people and planet is a good place to start. Respect for self. In a just and democratic society, respect for self is central to flourishing of well-being of both the individual and the wider community. Respecting oneself brings both the capacity to act autonomously and be self-motivated. It is an essential prerequisite to have respect and concern for others. Respect for others and human rights for all. The disposition to respect and care for others is central to living independently. The positive relationships forged among individuals and groups are essential to the development and qualities such as cooperation, interdependence, and respect for the diversity of people and cultures, which allows us to live and work in the realities in the world of today and the future. A sense of social responsibility and belonging. In a society geared to the general well-being of all, it is essential to develop a commitment to social responsibility without shying away from a critical examination of power relationships, privilege, and traditions. Such a disposition to social responsibility should also entail a commitment to social justice and the sustainable use of the environment, where we all feel collectively part of our global enterprise as a result of common purpose rather than a personal self-interest. Commit to learning. In a world increasingly characterized by change and adaptation, the need to have an open disposition to learning, to making new connections and new meanings is fundamental. This would also require willingness to adopt a critical stance towards information, willing to give reasons why one holds a view or acts in a certain way, and to expect similar reasons from others, respect for evidence in holding and forming opinions, willingness to be open to the possibility of changing one's own attitudes and values in the light of the evidence. And lastly, believe that you can make a difference. You can actually affect change. There will be times when you and your students may not think that you are having any impact, so you don't lose heart and let your teaching and learning side into apathy. According to Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.